Hello and welcome to this different kind of episode of What's New Saline. I am your host and SCTN Station Manager, Essie Enriquez. Today, I have the pleasure and the honor of being with the wonderful Annherst. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Ezzy. How are you?
Good. Now, I have a few questions for you. Obviously, this setup is a little different, as you can tell. And I wanted to just have a little chat with you about what the Foundation for Saline Area Schools is up to. What are you up to as well, personally? And how are you dealing with this whole COVID-19 thing? So let's start off with, right now, a quick question. How long have you been running the Foundation for Saline Area Schools?
So I have been in this position almost 4.5 years. I started as the executive director in January of 2016. Prior to that, I had been on the board of the foundation and as a volunteer. But I am, 4.5 years into being an executive director. It's been wonderful.
Nice. Now, did you grow up in Saline, or?
I did. Actually, we moved here. I was raised in more of the Ann Arbor area, and my father actually was an Ann Arbor school teacher. My mom taught college at Cleary College, which used to be in Ypsilanti. And but we were very involved actually in a little church here in Saline, and so we spent a lot of time here. And when I have a younger brother, 4 years younger, and when I was in about the 9th grade, we built a home here and we moved to Saline. So I finished off my high school career here at Saline. My brother then finished a few years later. And so, yes, I am a very proud Saline alumni, class of 1983.
Nice. And it sounds to me like you come from an educational family. Like you have that educational love and DNA inside of you. So tell me, for somebody that doesn't know what the Foundation for Saline Area Schools does, can you explain to them how you help the educational system?
Well, I sure will, and I do want to say I do come from a long line of educators. My grandmother actually was an educator. She taught downtown Detroit for many years. Actually, she had Diana Ross as one of her students, so that's kind of her claim to fame. And then my parents were both teachers, and I'm actually also, and have been for the last 20-some years, I'm an adjunct professor and have taught for a variety of different universities. So education is in my blood. I would have never thought that I would actually have ended up being an executive director of a foundation, but it has aligned beautifully because I love Saline. I love the school district and what they do, the impact that they have, the absolute educational excellence that they have here in Saline. And even way back in the 80s, it was a wonderful place to come. My father and mother even knew back then that the school system was wonderful. And so when I got married and had been long gone from Saline for many years, but when my husband and I had our second child, we decided this is where we wanted to raise them. So it's really been a joy. So the Foundation for Saline Area Schools, I mean, to put it real simply, we provide funding for teaching grants, for strategic grants and building grants and a variety of different types of grants that fund different programs and projects that teachers and administrators within the school district can apply for. So what it is really just we are helping Saline continue, or enabling them to continue to provide this educational excellence that they do through funding grants. And so teaching grants has always been kind of what I refer to as our bread and butter. When the foundation started back in 1987, that is what they did. They started funding teaching grants. And so there were teachers that had these great creative and innovative ideas that they wanted to implement within their classroom through curriculum or projects, but there was no funding for it. And that's one of the reasons that foundations started kind of appearing in the late 80s, when much of the funding at that point for public schools were being reduced and taken away. So we provide funding for grants, and so we've given over $1.3 million. We have funded Saline schools with since 1987, which is a huge chunk of change and has made a real impact upon this district.
I was going to say, this is something that probably helps out the school system as well a lot, and the students as well, because I'm sure some of them maybe wouldn't have some opportunities that they have without your guys' grants, correct?
Exactly, and it's all about the students. It's how it impacts the students. So when these teachers do write grants, ultimately sometimes we're looking at, and how many students will this impact, right? The more, the better, obviously. And but I'll tell you what's really neat. About 4 years ago, out of one of our retreats that we had as trustees and with my board, came the idea from one of our student reps. So we have two student reps that sit on our board. They serve 2 years. They come in as a junior and so serve 2 years until they graduate. And one of the student reps, who was a senior at the time, she said to us, "Why don't you fund student-led grants?" And we thought, that's a great idea. Why don't we? Our wonderful students, who we are doing this for ultimately, right, they have some incredible ideas too. So the very first student-led grant was written about 4 years ago. And since then, every single year, we have had students, of course, always with a teacher or an advisor to help. We have funded some grants for different students, and even at the middle school level as well as the high school level. So it is all about the students, and that's why we're here. We want our students to have the best opportunities, and we have wonderful teachers and administrators that, again, have these incredible ideas that just directly impact our students. And so, that's what we do.
Beautiful. And now, since you do have two kind of different grant systems for like teachers and students, can you name a few of the top of your favorite grants that you guys have given to students and to teachers?
Well, yeah, and again, remember, they're always all for the students, but right, sometimes it's the teacher that's actually initiating it. But I'll tell you, some of my biggest, when I started this job, the one that beginning of that year, I think it actually was the next year, I don't remember, I think it was 2017, we provided funding for the Hornet Hub, which was at that point, it's located in the high school in the area where the students eat in the cafeteria. It's 2 big spaces. It's really an innovative learning space. They use it for meetings. They use it as a classroom. They use it it's got all the high technology and it's the next generation classroom look to it. That was one of our strategic grants, which was a very large amount of money that we funded, which was like $75,000. And I love the Hornet Hub because I had been in that high school when it was just really dead space there. And it was just this kind of dark space that like a bunch of strange vending machines were in. And when the district had this idea to create these 2 really cool spaces there, and then they asked us, would you be a part of this grant? We would like $75,000. And we said, absolutely. And so it's fun to go to the high school and see that space now being used in such diverse ways. So then there's one side of the Hornet Hub, which is very large, and that's continually used for, like I said, meetings and classroom space. And then on the other side is the smaller hub, and that has been turned into a writing center. And these are also projects that we funded. And so what happened was there were some English teachers at the school that came forward and said, we would love a peer-to-peer tutoring center specifically for writing. And we are going to use the smaller portion of that Hornet Hub to turn into a writing center. And so we have funded multiple, actually, grants for that writing center for those to go and get additional training on how to be a tutor to other students within the school district, to obviously sharpen their English skills, their writing skills. So many things have come out of that. So I love to see something that was a conception of the district, right, that we were able to be a part of, and then see how that's kind of morphed into even more and more different grants that we have funded. One of my favorite student-led grants was the very first one. There were a group of high school students that came to the foundation along with one of their teacher advisors who were a part of a class called the Connecting Class. The Connecting Class is run, I believe, all 3 terms each year in high school, and it's an opportunity for students to really learn about people with special needs. And so the Connecting Class actually uses a book called Connecting with the Exceptional Individual. It's actually a college textbook, if you can believe it. But the neat thing is during their, each day, the period of class that they have, 4 days a week, these students go out to the other schools in our community, and they are sitting down and helping kids that have different special needs. And then on the 5th day, the Friday, they go into class and actually have instruction by some wonderful teachers that teach connecting.
Now,
So
this was an idea by a student originally?
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
Exactly. So there were about 6 kids that were very involved in this Connecting Class. And they said, we want to have a club. We want to call it the Connecting Club. And we want to connect with these wonderful students with some special needs outside of school. We want to do after-school activities with them. We want to have dances. We want to have holiday parties. We want to go to a corn maze in the fall. And we want to go to movies together on a weekend. And they asked for a grant to fund, actually, some of their activities to help form this club called the Connecting Club. And so it meant a lot to me personally because my son has special needs. He's a senior this year. And so Jonah got to be a part of that very first Connecting Club. And they are still running it. And we just what the foundation is we call it kind of seed money. So we give initially, and then hopefully, we trust that project or program or whatever it is will continue on, but we kind of provide that seed money. Well, 4 years later, that Connecting Club is going strong. My son is still involved in it. And it's just phenomenal. And so those are 2 things. I mean, I could list so many from the elementary school level, all the way through the young adult program after high school, of incredible.
I'm sure there's a ton because I met a few of these students, and I mean the passion that they have, and the drive that they have. It amazes me sometimes,
Yeah.
It makes me think that maybe I didn't have, or my friends didn't have that much drive or passion when we were that age, but they seem to be on top of things, they seem to be very driven to accomplish their goals. So I can only imagine the dozens and dozens of grants that you guys have given out, to students to make their educational experience better. Now, you did say that you have 2 children. Now, how has this COVID-19 and the closing of the school, how has that affected them?
Well, it's funny because I have 2 boys that are both seniors, one in college and one in high school. So I had 2 class of 2020 kids that have obviously been drastically impacted. My older son, who graduated from Saline, was out of school at a private school down in Oklahoma. He is home now and obviously finishing online, and he's coping now. It's hindered him a lot. He's a social guy, and so he misses a lot of his friends from college, but has quite a few still here. And so he's coping as best as he can. My younger son, who's a senior at Saline High School, that'll be graduating, he's the one with special needs. Amazingly, he has probably coped better than the rest of us in my family. I will give a huge shout out to his teachers at Saline High School, Jesse Markey and many of the teachers within the life skills class there. They have been phenomenal. He has Zoom meetings each week. He's being sent all sorts of homework that I'm trying my best to administer through homeschooling. We have a lot of free time, sadly, over here, but it's been phenomenal to see these teachers pivot so quickly and be able to go to distance learning and all this online, distance learning. I mean, it's amazing, and they have worked so hard, and they are trying to meet the needs of these students. as best as they can. So I have really been impressed by that. But it has definitely been different. And even my son with special needs, he has autism. We are still a very social family. And so I think, it's been very hard to not be with people. And we miss school. Jonah will say to me often, I miss school, Mom. And, of course, my older one does as well. So, yes, so COVID has had a huge impact. And we're feeling very trapped. But we go day to day. And, of course, at this point, we have to be very fluid, right, with all the different things that are changing day to day. And we're making it work, and we're blessed. We're healthy. So I can't complain much.
Well, and I can only imagine you also have all your ducks in line there in your house, since you have that educational background. I'm sure you're holding down the fort pretty well. So.
Well, I'm trying, but I'm not a very good homeschooler. Yeah, I decided this is not my thing. Yeah, I may teach the college level, but I can't to help my kid as a senior in high school with special needs. I'm like, oh my gosh! I'll tell you, our teachers deserve like $1 million a year. That's all I have to say about that.
That's one thing that I've always said. I agree with you on that one. Now, let me ask you, how has COVID-19 impacted the foundation?
Well, that's a really good question because, of course, my biggest concern, I'm in the fundraising business, right? And so I thought, oh, boy, this is going to be interesting. Usually in the spring and early summer, I go into a mode of fundraising for corporate sponsorships for the next year. Fortunately, we had our big, as you know, that you did such a great job of covering with your beautiful photography and video. We had our big fundraiser in the end of February, so that was wonderful that we got through that prior to this. But, yeah, it's going to impact us greatly because I cannot be asking people for anything right now. People are jobless and people are trying, a lot of our businesses that we have as sponsors, they're just trying to make it, whether it's a bigger business like an Imagine or a smaller business like Root Awakening. So I am staying in direct contact with all my donors and my sponsors and my volunteers. I'm doing a lot of communication things. I'm reaching out to them. I'm having a lot of connections that way. But yes, is it going to directly impact our bottom line in fundraising? Absolutely. Now, out of nowhere today, I got a very unexpected large donation. I was over the moon. I was so happy I couldn't believe it. And it was very unexpected. And so you think, when you think like, I don't know who's going to be able to give anything, and then you get something like that. Because people believe in what we're doing. They love the district. They love Saline schools, and it's all about the kids. And so, yes, as a direct effect on us, absolutely. So again, it's just one day at a time. And but I talked to one donor the other day that has a relatively large business, and he said, Annherst, he said, just don't count everybody out. There will still be people that will want to give. It's just going to have to be maybe done in a different sort of way. So
I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you that next. If there is a donor out there that does have the means and is willing to really impact and make a difference in the Saline community, is there a way for them to donate through just online? Or because I know you guys always have your phenomenal events. I love your guys' events. You guys always do well at those events. They're entertaining, great people, great vibe. But is there any way to just do it online? Do they have to get in contact with you, or is there a website?
No, absolutely. You can go right on the website. In fact, this big donation that came through today was all directly done on our website. So if you go to support, FSAS, SUPPORT, FSAS.org, that is our website. There's multiple donation buttons on there, and you can get into a very secure system and with a credit card give. And so it's a very easy way to do it, and we welcome it. And I'm still checking the P.O. box. We're at P.O. Box 5 in Saline, 48176. So I still go, every other day to the mailbox just to see, but online is probably the best way to go. So for those that are able to still give and that want to, because you're right, we still need this, and for sustainability's sake, we want to be here long down the road to still be helping Saline schools. And frankly, there are going to be some big asks, right, out of the district, probably sooner than later, whether it has to do with maybe more devices for them, for kids for more distance learning. We don't know. As things change daily, there may be more needs from the district and coming to us as a foundation. So we very clearly want them to know, and they know this, that we are by them, that we stand beside them, that we are here for them, remaining very true to our mission, and that is things that affect the kids, and obviously the impact that we can have on more kids, the better in this situation. We are here for them.
Beautiful. And hopefully somebody will watch this video out there. Somebody will share it, and we can get the message out even more. And hopefully somebody will go to the website and donate. But thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Annherst. By the way, so quick question for the audience out there, or a quick question for you to clarify with the audience, because I had this conversation with people before. Now, I met you now a few years back. Originally, I thought your name was Ann and your last name was Hurst. So can you say your name for everybody out there so we can put this to rest?
I sure will. First name Annherst, all one word, always go by Annherst, not Ann, and last name is Kreitz. So my mother was very unique. Actually, my grandfather was named Amherst, Amherst, and my mother feminized it and made it Annherst. So it's Annherst, and I go by Annherst. So it is a very, very common mistake. Most everybody makes that. And I think I'm the only Annherst out there, and but yeah, that's always a number one question, Ezzy. Always a number one.
Beautiful. Well, it sounds like your mom was just as unique as you are. So thank you so much. I really appreciate for joining with me tonight and hanging out and having this conversation.
Wonderful, Ezzy. Thank you so much, and thank you for all that you do for the schools and the community. Deeply appreciate it.
We'll talk to you later. Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone out there, for watching this episode of What's New Saline.